We look at 8 different movies in 15 different categories, all winners in the 2019 Utah Film Critics Awards, right now on Critical Mass. Hello and welcome to Critical Mass. It's been a year?
At least.
Something like that?
Yeah.
I think I end up doing it at the end of the year.
It sounds about right.
And I go, I'm going to do more of these.
It's our New Year's resolution, probably.
Exactly.
Until next year.
Yeah. I am hoping to be more consistent now that everyone has a little bit more time on their hands.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm Rich Bonaducci. I'm with Fox 13.
And I'm Kent Dunn. I'm with ShowtimeShowdown.com and Bacon Cell Podcast.
Yeah, which is doing great. You should check that out.
Pretty fun.
Now, we're both members of the Utah Film Critics Association, and
Yes.
we meet at the end of every year and come up with our nominations for the best that 2019 has to offer in about 13, now 14, different categories. And Ken ends up handing in what he likes, and so do I, and so do all the others. Then we get together and slug it out.
It kind of is. And,
a little bit.
I've had people ask, like, what is the process? Like, why do you do this? Or do the Oscars look at this list? And I kind of say it's like a junior high election.
Yeah.
Where they're going for hype and maybe some campaigning, and they say, Utah chose this as their best picture.
That's true.
Maybe it will get some hype. We'll see.
And we do like to throw some curveballs in now and again.
Because it's who we are.
Because it's who we are.
Yeah.
For instance, like this one. Our first one is the best animated film. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's
yeah.
How to Train Your Toy Story 3 Klaus.
Yes.
No. It is I Lost My Body. The story of a young man who is in love with a young woman. And in another part of town, a severed hand escapes from a dissection lab determined to find its body. That's right. It won Best Animated Film of the Year.
Who are we, and why are we such snobs?
You know what, though? The runners-up was a tie between How to Train Your Dragon 3, The Hidden World, and Toy Story 4.
Right. I was partial to How to Train Your Dragon. I feel like it ended the series brilliantly.
Yeah.
And Toy Story 4 continued on a brilliantly ended series. Both great.
Yeah.
Like, all the animation picks were amazing. But I Lost My Body, like, as far as, like, the score goes, the artwork, and everything, it was a surreal French experience.
It's very different. You know, what you see behind us, these are the covers of the screeners that we get as critics, and I hadn't seen that during the year. So I watched it at the end of the year on a screener.
Yeah.
And I was wishing I'd seen it on the big screen.
It's true.
Because it is really cool.
Because it requires your full attention.
Yeah. And then I rewatched How to Train Your Dragon and went, God, that was beautifully done. Then I watched Toy Story 4 and I'm like, how did they do that again? And it was
manipulation.
It was tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough category.
It's a tough one. That's why we had a tie for 2 and 3, because there are so many, like, heartfelt choices here.
That's true.
So, emotional picks for sure.
Yeah. Now, another one actually had some ties, so to speak. Another movie won 3 different categories.
Yeah, so it actually won for score, editing, which is a new category for us, and also the best documentary. And if you haven't heard of it yet, please seek it out. It's Apollo 11.
I'd like to know what you feel as far as the responsibilities of representing mankind on this trip.
That's relatively difficult to answer. It's a job that we collectively said that was possible and we could do, and of course the nation itself is backing us, so we just sincerely hope that we measure up to that.
A look at the Apollo 11 mission to land on the moon, led by Commander Neil Armstrong and pilots Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins.
Now, this is one I did see in the theaters.
Yeah, did you see this one at Sundance?
No, I
this was a big hit there, and it took me a while to see as well, because it's a documentary about Apollo 11, which everyone knows the story. You've seen some of the footage. This gives you all of the footage.
Yeah.
Like, all and more. I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah, this is kind of, I won't say it's found footage, so to speak, but
Right.
they did find this footage. All the stuff that they shot from different cameras and different angles, and going through, I don't know how many hours and putting it in order must have been amazing.
Yes.
Hence the editing award, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. And then, it won score as well. A documentary winning score is kind of, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But everything, because there's no narrative. There's no director that's telling a story. It is this found footage, as you say, and so the music is telling the story along with it. Because otherwise you'd get beep, beep, and just kind of...
And one small step for...
Precisely. But it's showing us exploration, making us feel that exploration at the same time. It won in these categories, and there were several great runner-ups, but still, it deserved to win and should be seen.
Oh, yeah. In fact, some of the other... this was a really difficult category for me to pick.
Yeah.
What we end up
documentary
doing...
or?
For documentary, yeah. For what we end up doing is we send in like 5 of our nominations.
Right.
And then the heads put it together and we come up with 5 and then we argue about those.
Yeah.
I had 10 for documentary.
You did?
Because there were so many good docs this year. The hardest part was getting it down to 5.
So was that your favorite, or did you have a personal choice?
I had, you know what? I was okay with Apollo 11 winning.
Yeah.
But I also would have been okay with Who Will Write Our History.
Yes.
Which was kind of on this weird tier of, was it 2018, was it 2019? So
right.
It was oddly, and American Factory. There were a lot of really good documentaries.
Making Waves was also a great one.
Yes.
Because I rarely understand sound editing and sound design and sound mixing, and this movie describes through a history of, it's up there somewhere.
Got it somewhere.
Through the history of film, what each of these are and who the teams are that create this sound.
Yeah. Really interesting. So Making Waves is another one that could have been crazy boring.
Yes.
It's about making sound for movies, and it was so much fun to see how they did it. But Apollo 11, too, you think, just a bunch of scratchy, grainy footage about the rocket launch we've all seen. Really helpful graphics to show how things happened.
Right.
And behind-the-scenes stuff, they had the suits kind of feeding medical information back to the ground base. And you've got Buzz Aldrin going up in the rocket, and his heart rate is at 80.
Yeah.
And all the other 2 guys are like 110, 120.
Who's this guy? He's
hilarious.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, but that's a great film. They're all really cool documentaries if you can check them out. So Apollo 11 won 3 different categories of the UFCA lineup at the end of the year. But this next movie covers 2 of them.
Yes.
Yeah. Best Adapted Screenplay for Greta Gerwig and Best Supporting Actor Female for Florence Pugh. It's Little Women 2019.
I've always known I would marry Rich. Why should I be ashamed of that?
There's nothing to be ashamed of, as long as you love him.
Well, I believe we have some power over who we love. It isn't something that just happens to a person.
I think the poets might disagree.
Well, I'm not a poet. I'm just a woman. And as a woman, there's no way for me to make my own money. Not enough to earn a living or to support my family. And if I had my own money, which I don't, that money would belong to my husband the moment we got married. And if we had children, they would be his, not mine. They would be his property. So don't sit there and tell me that marriage isn't an economic proposition, because it is. It may not be for you, but it most certainly is for me.
Jo March reflects back and forth on her life, telling the beloved story of the March sisters. 4 young women, each determined to live life on their own terms.
There are some natures too lofty to bend.
So, who does she marry?
This one seems like the sleeper hit of the year.
Yeah.
With Little Women. This is the 8th adaptation of this movie. And why would an 8th adaptation of any movie be recognized by the Oscars? But there's something about this one.
Yeah, I think, I won't spoil it for you if you haven't seen it. I think the way that Greta Gerwig adapted it and played with it a little bit, but also Florence, obviously all the women in it are great, because Saoirse Ronan was up there for lead amongst one of our other nominations. But Florence Pugh had a sort of thankless task with Amy, who's usually
nobody
the
likes
most
Amy.
annoying. But
And in fact, you don't like her in the movie,
Yeah.
but she pulls it off. Like, she makes you sympathize with her, even though you don't really care where the character goes.
Well, you can see in that clip, she ends up just taking over that role and becoming a force in that movie.
And that's Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
She is an upcoming force. She's in Midsommar. There we go, which is messed up. You should see it. Lady Macbeth, she's great in Fighting With My Family, which also came out this year. She'll be in Black Widow pretty soon.
Yeah, that's true.
Her career is just on the upswing right now, and this is a great role.
Yeah, she's one of those ones that we saw in 1 or 2 movies and went, she's going to be something, and we were right.
Yeah. Speaking of supporting actors in movies, our next one was an interesting choice that I think will get a lot of Oscar buzz. But we just wanted to precede that buzz, maybe create a little bit of hype. And it's Joe Pesci returning to film once again. It's been a long time for Martin Scorsese's The Irishman.
Let me put McGee on the phone.
Hello? Hi, my friend. How are you? Listen, I got that kid I was talking to you about here. I'm gonna put him on the phone and let you talk to him, okay?
Hello? Hi, Frank. This is Jimmy Hoffa. Our friend speaks very highly of you.
Thank you.
Only 3 people in the world have one of these. And only one of them is Irish. You might be demonstrating a failure to show appreciation.
I know things they don't know I know. You want to be a part of this fight? Would you like to be a part of this history?
Yes, I would. Whatever you need me to do, I'm available.
He likes to talk, don't he?
Now, this one really could have won for any one of these guys.
Yes.
And we ended up picking Joe Pesci.
Al Pacino, also great in this movie.
Yeah.
It almost seems like a given, though, that Al Pacino and a few other the actors are going to be there. But seeing Joe Pesci again, like, it was great. And maybe for the last time in this type of film.
And in a very different role. Not his usual, over-the-top wise guy.
He's going to chew the scenery and whatnot.
Yeah, very subtle, but still, that guy who you don't mess with.
And this one may be, honestly, well, Netflix is killing it this year, let's just say that.
Yeah.
And I think they're revitalizing film. Spielberg may not like it because Netflix may clean house at the Oscars.
Yeah.
With a movie that we're bringing up soon. But The Irishman, Scorsese, you have the clout there. And it was nominated for, screenplay, best actor, which we'll get to.
But is it cinema?
Let's not get into this.
Nah, we
yeah,
won't
indeed.
Get into that.
Yeah.
But Netflix did have a lot of nominations on our various lists, and a lot of smaller studios too, like Neon and A24 have a lot of. They just take chances and have really cool, interesting films. May not be the blockbusters, maybe only like $30 million budgets, whatnot, and they end up being really interesting.
Yeah, like Uncut Gems.
Exactly.
It was the A24 film with Adam Sandler, and it's their most profitable movie. So. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I love indie films.
If you keep it low, I don't know. It's tough to keep it low when you got folks like Adam Sandler who got to make a certain amount of money just to be there.
But in a different kind of movie.
Yeah. So we've got another movie, a Netflix offering. As we were saying, that they're taking over.
They really are.
This movie took over 2 different categories, but similar this time. The male and female leads. In the same film. Opposite each other, and I do mean opposite.
Yeah,
it's
indeed.
Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson from Marriage Story.
What I love about Nicole,
Loving you.
she's a great dancer, infectious. She is a mother who plays, really plays. She gives great presents. She's competitive.
What? Are you kidding me? You want to be free.
And she knows when to push me
Oh, baby. I'm down on my knees.
and when to leave me alone.
Please don't make me stop now. I love.
I thought we should talk.
Okay.
Noah Baumbach's incisive and compassionate look at a marriage breaking up and a family staying together.
I don't know how to start.
Okay, so obviously we have Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson They won both categories for us. I was a little surprised.
Me too.
Like, were you disappointed, or were you okay with the decision?
I was on the Saoirse Ronan train for this one.
Yeah. I mean, she's reliable.
Yeah.
Like, Saoirse Ronan, I think, will win multiple awards.
Or at least nominated for, like, anything she's in. She'll get nominated.
Now, Scarlett Johansson did great. It's a very, even though there's anger in Marriage Story, and there's plenty of anger, they're muted performances by both actors until it's not.
Yeah. In fact, that scene that we showed might be a little muted for you. You might go, oh, what's that all about?
Right.
Watch the rest of that scene, especially for when Adam Driver just goes full Kylo Ren.
And I feel like that is where he won it precisely.
Yeah.
It is her muted role, I think, where she doesn't, being in blockbusters lately, she doesn't get this chance to be in a movie like this.
That's
lately.
very true.
And so I do think she deserves it. We also gave the runner-up to Lupita Nyong'o from Us.
For Us.
Because we're the UFCA. And, you know, a genre movie like this does not get any love, but her playing these dual roles, so radically different, should be noticed as well.
And the runner-up for the guy, Joaquin Phoenix for Joker. I was on board for that one.
He will win. He will, like, I think we missed the boat. There are a lot of people who are anti-Joker, but his performance is the performance of the year, if not years.
Yeah. And the reason we say that is because there's like 16 other people who are in on this thing.
And sometimes you die on heels, and sometimes you just say, okay,
yep,
he got runner-up, it's fine.
Yeah, there are a couple times I went, that's exactly what I wanted.
Right.
And the other times I went, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
And a couple of times I went, wow.
Now, a movie like The Joker may not be the Academy's cup of tea, but at the same time, it's very inventive and disturbing and unforgettable.
Yes.
But that said, Adam Driver in a movie like this, really just, I mean, he owns it. Yeah. So Adam Driver, Scarlett Johansson, great pairing. I'm not sure they'll win in the end, but I'm okay that we picked him.
Yeah, I'm okay that we picked it.
Yeah.
Especially if it gets people watching it who might not have watched it before.
Yeah.
You know, who are going, oh, geez, they both got something, but let's check that out.
It's like, these guys have a favorite.
Yeah.
Second favorite.
And again, it is on Netflix, so if you missed it in the theaters, because it was there for like 2 or 3 weeks to be nominated,
right,
you can check it out on Netflix.
So speaking of battles,
yeah,
our next movie is about a battle and done in one shot, if you will. But that is the trope that they're going with. It is Sam Mendes' 1917.
In your own time, gentlemen.
Must be something big if the General's here.
You have a brother in the 2nd Battalion.
Yes, sir.
They're walking into a trap. Your orders are to deliver a message calling off tomorrow morning's attack. If you fail, it will be a massacre.
We've got orders to cross here.
That is the German front line.
Hold back! If we're not clever about this, no one will get to your brother. I will.
So I was lucky enough to go on the junket for this.
Yeah.
And I got to meet, Sam Mendes, the director, who won for this category, as well as Roger Deakins, cinematographer, who won for this.
I mean, Deakins is, he's classic.
Yeah.
Right.
Blade Runner, for instance.
Right. And everything else that's great.
And basically everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. But what I did was when I first saw 1917 in the theater, back around Thanksgiving, frankly, that night, as soon as it ended, I went, movie of the year.
You did?
That's what I put out.
Okay.
So when I sat across from Sam Mendes, I said, read that. And he goes, Thanksgiving. He goes, oh, like that. And I did.
Is he like, are you kissing up right now?
No, he was totally. Oh, he's such a nice guy,
Okay.
actually.
Yeah.
And Roger Deakins is just this old country gentleman kind of thing. But I ended up chatting with the co-writer and the 2 stars of the film as
Relatively
well.
unknown.
And showing them all that.
Yeah.
And they're all like, oh, I guess we'll see. And I was pushing for it, but it got these 2, and I'm happy about these 2.
It got a lot of love vocally, just not all the votes it needed for some of the other categories.
That's true. I will disagree with Trope for a moment.
Okay.
Because it does this whole one-shot thing. But it was Sam Mendes' idea, the director, to kind of have, like if Kent and I were the guys out on the field, to have the camera be the third man. So you're kind of running along with them and experiencing it with them. And they actually break, I don't want to spoil it, but they decidedly break away from it to tell the story they were telling.
Yeah, it's not like an episode of 24 where it's like this time needs to go by. Like events do happen in
Yeah.
the time that they need to happen that are realistic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Sam Mendes bases it on a lot of the stories that his grandfather told him, who was actually in the war. It was actually one of these runners, one of these messengers. And one of the crazy things he told me was that his grandfather was about 5'5". So I'm about 5'7". So, but the fog that used to cover the field was about 5'7".
Oh.
And they measured it because that's how they got messages across. They would find the short guys and tell them to basically run across the battlefield because they were just below the fog.
Unreal. Okay.
Yeah. So his grandfather actually carried some of these messages and had some of these experiences, not all of them, but he culled them from other people's and told the story. And it's really impressive. You should see it in the theater if you can.
Yeah, biggest screen possible.
Yeah.
It feels like a little bit of Dunkirk, but with characters.
Right. Yeah.
And so just following this narrative is stunning. And I will say, like, half the movie I sat there, how are they filming this?
I will admit, there was a little part of me going, wait a minute, they just turned the camera 180 to ground. Isn't all the
is
crew
it on
right
rails?
there?
Is there a drone?
It's really cool. The behind-the-scenes stuff is really cool.
But at some point, you kind of forget and you just go along with the experience.
Yeah, you're just in it.
This is a great film.
Yeah.
Yeah, and granted, this is a year of great films, so we'll see if this gets the buzz that it needs to.
I feel like every year when we get together, we're like, this is a tough year.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff out there.
Yeah,
and
thankfully.
seriously, if you get to watch the behind the scenes, the making of 1917, because they have some online, check it out, because Roger Deakins should have won for cinematography because he had to come up with basically new ways of shooting.
That's true. Remember, though, when we were in this meeting, I gave a lot of love to The Lighthouse.
Yeah,
for example.
For sure. Lighthouse was runner-up.
Lighthouse, which no one has probably seen.
I loved The Lighthouse, although I'm
so
still
strange.
not sure if I can tell you what it was about.
No, you can't. But I'm sure you can't get rid of the images.
Can't forget it either.
Because the images, they almost make it a 1-to-1 ratio, and it's sepia tones, and that is it. The whole thing is purposeful. That said, it's not as accessible.
Why don't you spill your beans?
So weird.
I should have noted that Willem Dafoe was runner-up
for
supporting
actor.
Joe Pesci, by the way,
Yes.
for best supporting actor. And you know what? Robert Pattinson was great in it too.
He was.
I mean, that's another film that you'll want to check out because everything about that film is good.
You won't forget about it.
It is very surreal.
Yeah.
And at the end you'll go, huh?
But why?
I'm not sure I know how that ended. But it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Part of the journey is the end. Just for the record, being adrift in space with zero promise of rescue is more fun than it sounds. Food and water ran out 4 days ago. Oxygen will run out tomorrow morning. That'll be it. When I drift off, I will dream about you. It's always you.
So a few dear friends and critics have passed away, some recently and some not so recently, although it still feels that way. Jeff Weiss and Jimmy Martin. And we wanted to honor them. We added a new category to the UFCA for this year, and it's going to stay for, well, ever.
Yeah.
And basically, we wanted to, they were both geeks at heart and just film guys and got along so well. I'm sure you saw them at the big movie Mouth Off and loved them just as much as we did. So we wanted to give them a special award. How would you describe it? It's kind of a geek award.
It is. We specifically made it genre oriented. And
Yeah.
genres are, and there are many genres, but genre specific to horror, a little bit of action or sci-fi.
Sci-fi, geek, whatever.
Basically, what's been ignored by the Academy or most award shows.
Yeah.
We're like, let's give some credit to these that just super fans really enjoy, but get no acting love at a dramatic awards.
Because they were absolutely super fans. In fact, let me read to you. The nominees were Keanu Reeves for John Wick Chapter 3, Florence Pugh for Midsommar, Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, Lupita Nyong'o for Us, and some of these folks got this anyway for like runners-up.
We'll see if they do in the Academy. But
exactly.
Yes.
I mean, at least for us, for
Yeah.
the UFCA. But what won was Robert Downey Jr. for Avengers Endgame. I think partially because he started it and he certainly finished it.
It was summed up really well, like you said, where he was the culmination of 11 years of Marvel, the biggest movies of the decade.
Yep.
And so to see him cap that off was perfect.
Yeah.
And many people even said that he may get, acting award, recognition. He may not, but for us, like, it was a great way to end it.
Yeah,
So,
especially for those two guys who would have loved to have seen it.
yes.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd probably better record a little greeting in the case of an untimely death on my part. I mean, not that death at any time isn't untimely. This time travel thing that we're going to try and pull off tomorrow, it's got me scratching my head about the survivability of it all. That's the thing. Then again, that's the hero gig. Right? Part of the journey is the end. What am I even tripping for? Everything's going to work out exactly the way it's supposed to. I love you 3,000.
So now we're at that time where we talk about the film of the year. But I mentioned the UFCA likes to throw you a curveball now and again.
We're a little bit strange, for sure.
We've done it with this one. It actually also won for Best Original Screenplay.
And non-English feature.
And Best Overall Picture.
Right, quite a few. The movie is Parasite.
부모님 얼굴도 뵙고 좋더라, 건강들 하시고.
일거리가 없으셔도.
네가 내 대신 얘 과외 선생님 좀 해줘라, 영어.
대학생인 척하라는 거야?
구라를 좀 치지 뭐.
넌 이 좋은 실력으로 왜 미대는 맨날 떨어지냐?
아이씨, 죽을래.
저는 이게 위조나 범죄라고 생각하지 않아요. 참으로 시의적절하다. 부자들이 원래 참 잘 속아.
사모님이 뭐랄까.
풀타임으로 수업 어떻게 하시는지. Is it okay with you? 우리 다송이는 완전 예술가 재질인데.
침팬지를 그린 거죠?
자화상이에요.
역시.
그동안 미술쌤도 여러 명 바꿔가면서 해봤는데요.
제가 사람 하나가 휙 하고 떠올랐는데.
아 잠깐. 제시카 외동딸 일리노이 시카고 과선배는 김치모 그는 이사촌.
부자인데 착하다니까. 진짜 니가 착한 거지.
I'm deadly serious.
근데 지금 진짜로 이상한 게 뭔 것 같아.
What's Parasite, you ask? We'll tell you. It's a little bit strange. So this is from South Korea. The director is Bong Joon-ho. He did Snowpiercer, which you may have seen.
Chris Evans.
Also The Host, which is a monster movie from about a decade back.
Yes, not the one from...
No, not Stephanie Meyer's The Host.
Right.
This is The Good, The Host.
It's The Good Host.
Yeah, so this guy, this director he's incredible, and what he has made here is a movie that will not be forgotten. It needs to be seen. And it's kind of built, if you see the trailer, it's built as it looks comedic, but it's built as almost a horror film.
Right.
It is not a horror film. It is, I would say it's a thriller of sorts, because the tension is palpable. It's the entire way through the movie.
Yeah, one of the quotes I think in the section that we showed you is it's something like, it starts off as one thing and goes to a totally different place. Yeah. I don't think if you watch it, you'll know where it's going, but I think you will be on board for the ride. Just ride it out because it is great.
It is.
I was like, well, I don't know, but I was hoping for 1917, but not disappointed that it was Parasite.
No, it's not my favorite movie of the year. In fact, the runner-up for the Best Picture is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Right.
Which is one that I'm totally behind.
It's true. This whole side of the room was.
Yeah. we were very Tarantino heavy.
It was a Tarantino territory over there.
We were, little secrets and stuff and, giving each other bribes. But yeah, so Parasite winning though it's my number 3 movie of the year. I would be very happy to see this win the big awards, and honestly, I was happy to see it win this award. for us as well.
Yeah.
It's a strange choice, but a great choice.
And this is one that we hope, being this high on the list, that you'll check out. Because some people shy away from these kinds of movies.
It's subtitles.
Right.
And it may not be a story that seems relevant to everyone, but I promise if you watch it, halfway through this movie, there's a moment that happens that you will not be able to look away.
And it changes
entirely
into a whole other thing. It's a great movie.
Yeah, and it's a great year for like foreign language films as well.
That's true.
A Portrait of a Lady on Fire is stunning. We talked about I Lost My Body as far as animation goes.
Yeah.
Amazing. And so, but this is the one to choose.
Yeah. So if you're willing to sit through a movie that you gotta read, make it Parasite. So,
okay.
All right. We'll see you next year.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
So where can people get a hold of you?
So people can find me. There's a website, ShowtimeShowdown.com. That's where I put my lists and my reviews for every single week. Sundance is coming up, so there'll be plenty there.
Yep.
And then I have a podcast. It's called Bacon Cell. So go subscribe to that. We talk about everything pop culture.
That's true. And I'm on Fox 13 basically every day, between like 7 and 10. Talk movies a lot and music and concerts and stuff like that, basically pop culture as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us here on Critical Mass, where I swear we're not cynical.
We're critical.
Just critical.
Yeah.
It's not connected at all. It's just hanging there.
Wait, how did you do the tops to bottoms? Because I get the...
There's tape on the back.
Okay.
Just some tape. These are all in a row, and then just some tape on the back.
I love it.
I'm like, I got all these freaking things.
Dude, and they just kind of sit.
Yeah, what am I going to do with them? Oh,
Yeah.
so let's artwork. Cool, why not?
Yeah. No, I love it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.